This is Countdown to Economic Collapse, February 20th, 2011. I'm David John Sponheim for President 2012. This past week, Wisconsin has had protests by public employee unions. They are going into direct conflict with the American taxpayer who is paying their bills. They don't want to make cuts. They don't want to pay for their health insurance. They don't like minor changes. This is a problem. They need to get used to the idea that public employee unions are going to be facing cutbacks in salaries. And if they don't accept that, they'll have cutbacks in jobs and pension funds. That's what's happening in America. That's the conflict that will be coming shortly. State budgets, nearly 47 of them, are nearly bankrupt. Many decisions will be made at the state and federal level that will impact public employees. But the problem is not as bad as you think. Many of them don't work that hard. Many of them need to have their jobs cut or their salaries cut. This is going to help the American taxpayer, and our system can keep running. You see, the problem is government's getting larger and larger. Take a look at these charts, for instance. Okay, here's a chart from the Congressional Budget Office showing you government spending back in 1968. You can see it was quite low. And as it continually graduated upwards until present time, 2007 and on to 2011, Obama's budget was $3.5 trillion. Government spending is increasing. To compound that problem, in 1913 the value of the dollar was much, much greater, as you can see. It was very, very large, and that as time went on, that dollar began to descend into the value that it currently has, which is hardly anything enough to put a little coin in my pocket, which is shrinking as time goes on, and the more money that they print up, thinking that they're going to pay off all of our debt by just printing up money is completely convoluted. Now look at the amount of money that is projected. 71% GDP growth is projected by 2032. Social Security, on the other hand, is expected to grow even more. The demands on Social Security to 127%, and Medicaid spending 224%, Medicare spending 235%. As you can see, this is an untenable situation. Okay, what we have here is a Social Security and Medicare cash surplus and deficit chart from the Government Accounting Office 2008. And it shows that we were slightly above the mark right around 2008, but we're dipping now and we're going into negative territory. The blue region is Social Security spending exceeding revenue. The red section is Medicare expenditures exceeding revenue. And the total by 2085 expected would be $28 trillion for Social Security and $55 trillion for Medicare in over expense. That means we won't have that money that we need. Now this chart behind me shows the number of workers per beneficiary. And as you can see, that too is beginning to decline. Right now we're around 3 workers per every beneficiary that's collecting from Social Security. But that's beginning to be a problem because, like I said, people are beginning to retire. So that raises the next question. How do we shrink this burdensome growing amount of social services, Medicaid, Medicare? How do we shrink that cost with an enlarged population of older people? Well, one suggestion is to extend the retirement age, being people live longer, pushing it to 70. And that makes sense. But if people are going to be working longer, they're going to have medical benefits, and those benefits are going to have to be there. So how do we make that part of this puzzle shrink? Well, the key is to provide lower cost health care, and that's got to be handled by the government, unfortunately. You see, the private sector continues to want to raise the rates on everything, and there were no price controls in Obama's healthcare insurance reform bill. And we want to instigate certain price controls, caps on the amount of money they can charge for a hospital room, for a doctor visit. That would be an important first step. Getting this economy to balance out in lieu of the extensive requirements on our budget and the shrinking value of the dollar is going to be an incredible task. But we're going to have novel, innovative solutions to do that. So go to our website, check out our platform, and participate in America's Third Party.
Check us out at americasthirdparty.com.